Hello everyone, welcome to another Throwback Thursday. Today I'm going to be discussing the Liber Falxifer 2. Hi Jerry. Hi Jerry. So in another video I talked about this one. This is the first one. I talked about some of my workings with Senor La Muerte or San La Muerte. I also wanted to show off this Rib Sirac Raven of Dispersion amulet here. This is a real raven foot. And it's got a snake's head on it here. Silver snake's head. That is going to be real soon. I'm going to be making a tincture, which is it's like an oil water type of thing used for blessing and all that. So this book will teach you how to do it. Basically how to make these items. You typically make them with vodka. So if you guys want, I will film myself doing that ritual, and then you guys can take the instruction and just kind of make your own. They're typically made with a variety of ingredients, but most commonly vodka is used to as kind of the water base. But you're going to put like herbs and roots and all kinds of different plants in it, or different items. But what that's going to do is I'm going to soak this in it, and then we should be all set as far as using this ceremonially. I went ahead and did cleanse it though with sage, and I do have another water that I made. It's not made with vodka, it's just water with rose. I think it's got rose, it's got nightshade in it, it's got henbane. And what else does it have in it? It's got a few things in it. It's obviously linked to the poison path, so it's got a lot more toxic poisons. So you definitely want to keep that away from kitties if you have it. Put it in a secure jar, and yeah, make sure your pets don't drink it. But yeah, if I spill any on the floor too, I clean it up, because I don't want them licking it. So, but some of these ingredients are going to be hard for the average person to find. So when I do that video, I'm going to kind of tell everybody, let everybody know where they can obtain the items. In most cases, you want to get them off Etsy. But anyway, so I did a purification of this, but it's not quite ready for ritual use yet until I do that tincture. I'm just waiting for some ingredients to arrive. But anyway, whenever you bring a item into your home, you definitely want to cleanse with sage first. So you want to burn some sage and do just kind of a general cleansing to get rid of that energy of whoever touched it last. You do that with tarot cards too. But I'm working on trying to get my book published. He got me a new job, a job that pays better, so that's good. I did get a Raven Wing from a British supplier. So it's almost impossible to get bird parts in this country because of the Migratory Bird Act, which kind of prevents you from selling a lot of these parts. So you have to get them in most cases, other countries, and it can't add up price. But I happened to see that in New York at a metaphysical store, so it wasn't that expensive. Anyway, let's just kind of get to this. Now, the first thing you're going to note is this is not a official copy. This was actually bound by an Indian company. Company in India that I guess you could say it's kind of a bootleg way of obtaining a very expensive book. This book now is going for $600 plus, in some cases even $1,000 because it's long out of print. But this is the second volume of Liber Falxifer. And this is goat leather bound, and this is a type of paper, textured paper here. So the presentation's pretty good on this. They did a pretty good job. But they will bound anything. If you have a PDF of something, they will bound it. So this is the company. So if you guys want to get this bound, you can download the PDF and send it to them, and they will go ahead and do it. It's much cheaper. It will cost you about, I want to say, $80, maybe $70 altogether. They tend to include the shipping, but the ink quality isn't bad. The paper really isn't bad. Now, this is such a great book. So, in a general warning, I'm going to just say this. This book deals with intense magic. And when I say intense, it means getting up off your ass, going to actually harvest plants, half of which, unfortunately, does not grow in the United States, or is incredibly hard to find. If you live on the East Coast, you can find some of these. I know Maryland, you can find blackthorn, but it gets challenging when you leave the East Coast area, for sure. If you're in California, you're not going to find blackthorn, for example. But the artwork is just amazing here. That's basically the Lua, considered the sister of Kagan. Now, I don't subscribe to Senor La Morte as being Cain. Having said that, these books are still valuable, even if you worship him as Mott, which he came to me as. But essentially, this is Santa Morte, basically, the female death. Their version of Santa Morte is the sister of Cain. But also you have some qualities here associated with Rosa, the Pomegera, Rosa Cavera, or Rosa Skull, Rose Skull. As you can see, there is a Punto there that is very similar to Kumbanda here. She is associated with roses and all that. So I will say this. Ishu Tata Skull, or Ishu Tata Kavir, is Senor La Muerte in Kumbanda. Basically, they're one and the same. Now, a lot of people will argue that Santa Muerte and Pomegera Rosa are not the same. However, I have come to the conclusion that they are the same. Do I work with her? No. I just work with him. I thought about working with her, but I honestly right now cannot afford to take on another altar. I'm pretty overcrowded, to be honest with you. I mean, between Lucifer and, you know, I got him there. You know, I got these guys here. And then I got my issue here. That's my Pomegera also. Both kind of sharing that currently because I'd made an offering to him. I made some chicken cacciatore, so I gave him some. But, yeah. And I did just get this Pomegera trident, by the way, too. It's also on Etsy. So, anyway, he can be pretty jealous. So, he's not going to share an altar with her. So, it basically means that I would have to make a Santa Muerte altar. As a general rule of thumb, you really don't want to mix them. Having said that, he does say you can mix them, but I wouldn't try it. I would put them on separate altars because she can be a little jealous also, from my understanding. But, he gives you her sickle sigil. So if you buy a sickle or a scythe, you're going to put this on the handle or on the blade. He goes into her different sigils here. So if this is your thing, kind of a combination of folk magic with the Temple of the Black Light or the MLO mixed in, this is pretty good. There are some crazy things in this book, for sure. But this is the tincture that I'm going to be making for that foot there. Right here in this section, Vlad gives us a good green witchery thing going on here. Basically, these are demons associated with these trees, these plants. So, Angel's Trumpet is very potent. You can get seeds for this and use it. As far as petals go, it's going to be a little bit harder to find unless you can grow it yourself, or I know Maryland has it. The other day I went to Lincoln Park looking for it, actually. because there's a map that says that it does grow in Lincoln Park. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to wait until summer to find them. I think they're kind of late blooming. Okay, sorry about that. I had to take a call. So, as I was saying, these are all demons. I don't agree that they're demons. I believe that plants have spirits, but I wouldn't call them demons. I would call them the spirits of the tree. They have spirits just like we do. You can be reincarnated as a planet. As a plant, excuse me. So, you could be a person in one life, and you could be a tree in another life. You could be an animal in one life, you could be a tree in another life. You could be a house plant. So, I wouldn't call these demons. He does talk about when you harvest portions of a plant. So let's say you cut off a branch or berries or whatever. You have to offer your own blood in return. So, you know, if you're bleeding the plant, you gotta bleed yourself, too. This isn't a whole lot. I mean, it's just enough to basically anoint the tree with your blood. Now, some people might have a hard time with that. I'm not a big cutter, to tell you the truth. I'm really not looking forward to cutting myself when I harvest, but it is what it is. Yes, you have lancets, but it kind of requires you to use the same blade that you use to harvest the plant. And he talks about the black and green. So let's just kind of go over the candles here. This is a candle, a green and black candle. You want to use this when you harvest. So I apologize for that. Unfortunately, I ran out of space on my card. So, as I was saying, this is used for working with herbs, plants. So that's the green and the black. This is just like general. You can put this on his altar and light it whenever. That's just a typical white and black. And oh, I'm going to be making a tincture too. As I said, that's going in there, that scorpion. And then this is the red and black. I need to get a new one because it's getting kind of worn out. And he probably needs his own anyway because this is technically over here. But that's typically used for blood rituals with him. And then the book talks about the bloodline ancestor altar, which my issue is on top of. Currently have my Ponadura on her too. She's Malumbo of the cemetery. It's nice that she's got a scholar. She does have some blood on her. If you guys want to see the chicken sacrifice video, I did put it on my other channel, 666 Beating Station. And I just have some weasel stuff on here.
But I did do an unboxing of this recently. This is connected to the ancestral bloodline of Nephilim. So, the mighty dead. So, he talks about the 13 star mighty dead. And so, I made that. Once again, this is some blood on here from the chicken. Because I needed to feed him. And he's got the chicken feet and the feathers. I'm going to be digging up the skull too. I buried the chicken head. So hopefully I can dig that up. Anyway. Anyway, let's go back to the picture. So, hey Jerry, hi Cosmo. My cats keep taking over the bed here. So, I mean, this is such a thorough book. Like, there's so much to talk about. Like I said, I'm probably going to film that texture that I'm going to be making. I'm going to be doing it on Good Friday. Good Friday's around the corner. So, I don't know if it's going to come out on Good Friday, though, but I will be doing it on Good Friday, because that is especially holy for Senor La Muerte that day. So it talks about making holy fetishes. So here's the mighty dead. I love this prayer. This prayer is actually very beautiful. To the mighty dead. And I'll probably, you know what, let me just go ahead and say that. Let me set this here. Are you okay, Elsie? Prayer for the mighty dead. In remembrance of the blessed dead, I pray, Almighty God, for the spirits of the faithful, both known and unknown. I now pray to you. Grant to them your endless power. Let the black illuminating light from beyond the cosmic barrier shine upon them. Grant them, I pray to you, eternal bliss and the holy splendor of your gnosis. O eternal divinity, you who rule outside of the prison house of finite creation, I pray to you to cast upon me and all your other faithful children the shadowless rays of your thoughtless light. And grant that we all, who are following the examples of those mighty dead who have already achieved your gnosis, become able to climb the steps of the cross and ascend through the point of the flame-crowned skull, and thus one day attain the same transcendence of those mighty ones who free from the shackles of finite life. I praise you, alien divinity, before and beyond all eons, for the blessings already bestowed upon those in whose memory and mighty deeds I continually give to you thanks and pray that I may one day become like them, fit to enter the kingdom of the black light, and in spirit attain union with all those with whom I share true kinship. I pray to you, Almighty and unknown God, to eternally empower those who in life and through death sought your truth, and ask you to ever keep them on your path, leading back to the source of divinity, even beyond that glorious other side, to where I strive and in where they now reside, so that we all may join you in formless, limitless, and endless power and glory. May the light of the unmanifest shine upon the faithful dead, and may they all see and know that they are not forgotten by those still shackled in the dungeons of finite life, and rejoice in the knowledge that their cause is still championed upon earth, as it is on the other side. I pray for the mighty dead who have paved the path of thorns upon which I now walk, and I ask you, O divinity most high, to bless them eternally and ever draw them closer to your own Holy Spirit, so that they, as drops of rain falling back into the eternal sea of their origin, may achieve fullness in your non-being. All praise to those of the Spirit of the Awakeners of the Spirit, and to the divine source of the Spirit. Amen. So we have a beautiful prayer there. You can, of course, utilize this prayer for Halloween even. You can do it for Day of the Dead, which is All Souls Day, November 2nd. You know, if you want to celebrate your ancestors on that day, this is actually a really good prayer for that. Then he talks about making a rosary for the mighty dead. He also talks about making a rosary for, I'm just going to call her Santa Marte, because that's pretty much who she is, the wife here. So, what the beads that you need, and then it gets a little bit bizarre. Keep in mind that this book, oh, he's got an awesome prayer here for the Hand of Glory too. Yeah, that's really awesome. Now, the Hand of Glory is almost impossible to make now, honestly. You would have to find the grave of a convicted murderer and dig it up and basically cut it off. But he tells you the right mixture and all that, and it's the prayer to activate it. So it gets a little bit bizarre here. The Black Hound of Golgotha. Basically, you're going to get some symbology that's very Christian in origin coming into the cult of Cain here, where Cain kind of becomes like a Christ figure. The place of skulls is often evoked, and that, of course, is probably going to offend some people. Once again, I don't subscribe to the idea that death is Cain, to be honest with you. Because he manifested to me as Motu, you know. And even there are some people online that say that he's actually the ancient Aztec god of death, the Lord of Nictlan.
So I would subscribe to that over this. But be that as it may, like I said, you can still use these books. You can modify them however you like. But there are still some things that will be required when you work with this magic. Like I said, there are exceptions that you can make. For example, when you make the tincture for ensouling, it says that you have to get a live scorpion and drown it in there. I got a dried scorpion that was already dead. I was like, are you serious? I'm not going to drown a scorpion in vodka. Like, no. Not to mention they're venomous animals. Now, you can't, I mean, in a pet store, yeah, they would be venomous. But, I just found that to be kind of distasteful, personally. A lot of cat sacrifices in this book, because he's talking about using cat blood and all that. Obviously, I get cats. There's no fucking way I'm gonna be playing around with black cats in the cemetery. But let's talk about this whole black hound thing. So he talks about Cerberus, basically the three-headed dog. If you know anything about Greek mythology, he was the dog of Hades, the underworld. He was a herder of souls, spirits. And we have this badass picture here of this hound of hell guarding the cemetery. Now, it gets really bizarre. This hound of hell, according to this book, is actually Abel. When Abel was killed by Cain, he became a herder of spirits, basically in the service of Cain, in the form of this three-headed dog. He goes on and talks about how in Scandinavia, there was such a thing as church grim. And these animals were often buried alive, and a church was placed on top of the grave. And that animal became the guardian of that church. Now, there is a movie called The Church. It's a horror film that came out in the 80s. Highly recommend it. It's one of my favorites, actually. Dario Argento, I believe, wrote the script. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. So it's a really awesome movie. And the beginning of that movie, a bunch of people, let's call them, they were probably Luciferians, and all their animals were exterminated. And there was a big cleansing that the church did. This was in the Middle Ages. And they were thrown in a mass grave, and a church was erected directly above them. So instantly, I was thinking about that movie when I was reading this. Sometimes it was horses, but most often it was a dog that was selected. And so it's an old Scandinavian tradition called the Church Grim. And he even talks about how sometimes the first person that dies, the first person that's buried in the cemetery becomes the cemetery grim. Basically, the spirit that guards the cemetery. Some people even actually buried an animal alive in cemeteries back in the day, because they didn't want people to be confined to the cemetery as guardians.
Um, so the animals so employed could be a hen, rooster, lamb, ram, bull, pig, dog, or any other kind of ill-fated creature that happened to pass by the selected spot that could be captured, be chosen, and in its entombment and sacrifice in order for the dreaded church grim to become created. Of course, these rites come from pagan times, he talks about. So, so you get the sigil here to conjure up Abel, the grave hound. And what does Abel do exactly? Well, this hound, it turns out, helps control the dark dead. And, damn it, somebody's calling me once again. These scammers will not stop. So, it talks about proper etiquette in the cemetery, such as buying soil. Like I said, when you take anything from the cemetery, you have to offer coins, typically. Sometimes you have to ask permission to the spirits. You can offer alcohol even. But the point is, you have to buy things from the cemetery just like you're buying from the store. So the dark dead, as I was saying, are basically the lower dead. They're the dead that are died by tragic circumstances. You know, some of them were murdered. And he talks about using them for baneful purposes. So, like, if you want to drive somebody insane, you would use somebody that died in an insane asylum, probably. But, so, these are the sigils. This is the murderous dead. Then you got murdered, burned. So, somebody that died in a fire suddenly, somebody that drowned. You got insane dead, so this would be insane asylum ones. So, like, Letchworth, for example, you know, if I wanted to employ a kid from Letchworth, I would be working with one of these, probably, sadly. And then we got the plague one. So these are ones that died from illness, like cancer. There's the suicide one. There's the vengeful ones. The unrepentant ones, the lonely ones, the cursed ones, and these are the stinging, crawling, snaring ones, and then these are like the vampiric ones. So these are like the parasite ones that will drain your energy, basically. He talks about doing a cleansing bath after you work with them, how to make that, purification oils and baths. So protection oil, and finally we get to him and a Rebzarak, and how he rules there with his wife, aka sister, and a Rebzarak, and they're united as one, but they still manifest on Earth individually. So, so yeah, all in all, this is an amazing book. Can you not sit on my rack? That's my ring. Jerry. Yeah, so, Do I recommend this book? I recommend both of these. Like I said, I am currently jotting down Liber Falxifer 3 from a PDF, so that's going to be completed pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, I recommend both of them. This one's going to be easier for obvious reasons. It's really not going to overwhelm you. It's just going to have stuff dealing with him. So, but, yeah, I mean, I highly recommend you guys, if you're having a hard time finding these books, I highly recommend that you get in contact with the company that put this out for me here. And, yeah, it's an Indian company. I'll probably share the website. And you can find a PDF of this. And I think it's Internet Archives, I believe the site is called. But honestly, all you have to do is just type in Liber Falxifer 2 PDF. There's also a PDF of the third one. And I believe there is a PDF of the first one. Again, these are custom bound. It's going to be like a fraction of the cost of what you'd be paying for an actual XCR edition of this, which are only going up sky high, basically, because they're all out of print now. This is like the third printing, so this isn't going to be as expensive as like the second one, but they are still pretty pricey, all of them. And I think I only paid $70 something for this. So, yeah, I mean, if this was the actual XCR copy, it would be well into like 600, 700 and up. So, yeah, I mean, presentation-wise, it's pretty good for what you get. So, yeah. All in all, I definitely recommend these books. So anyway, if you like this book review, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you.